today we got to play Yedo.
Deluxe Master Set.
We just did an unboxing of this a few episodes earlier. So
we didn't. You guys did. You abandoned me on because I had to work that day. And you went, wait,
no,
you know
you abandoned us because you had to work.
And even though this is my game that I was super excited to get out, we
got to open it first. So, if you guys want to hear more of our crazy banter and him complaining, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the notification bell. We'd like to hang out with you again. Robert, tell us more about this game, though.
So, Yedo Master Deluxe Set, whatever. So, it was actually developed in 2020, but we just got it this year. So, it took about a year for it to come out.
Well, there was a second. This is the second printing. This had the new expansion.
Got it. So, the Board Game Geek rating is pretty good. It's 8.2. Designer is obligatory apologies for mispronouncing the names here. Designer Thomas Ginsti, Wolf Plank. The art's by Jacob Vajtanowski. Zygmunt Ungelter and Franz Vowinkle, published by Board and Dice. I got that one down. It plays 1 to 5. MSRP a little hard to figure out because the Kickstarter for just the box game itself was $71. To get the metal coins was $91, and I don't know what the add-ons were. So for the mats and all that you see in front of us, I don't know what those cost, but
a lot.
MSRP not available yet because it's not available for retail. But I did go on and look at eBay. Someone's selling everything for $250.
Well, I saw that Fun Again, I think it is. It has a deal where you can get everything. Well, not the mats, but everything other than the mats. I think for $100.
Oh, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
And then Geek Market had this and the $91 pledge for $125.
So that's not bad. So there are a couple of options out there if you just can't wait to get it. When we talk about component pieces, quality pieces, we're going to be talking about some of the different changes, which we kind of already went through with the unboxing, but as well as the quality that is actually in this game versus the other. Just basically for people to understand if they want to upgrade to the deluxe version. And that's what it's called, Deluxe Master Set.
Yep.
Hey, check that out.
It's deluxe.
Yeah.
It's master.
Except you have to buy stuff to make it more deluxe.
Right.
Right.
It's not the super deluxe super master set. It's just the straight deluxe master.
Which bugs all of us. Okay, so let's talk about it. Screen printed meeples. Super awesome.
Super cool.
That was not the case in the original version.
And there's a ton of other meeples that we didn't play with yet.
Yeah, that has to do with the different expansions. You have, now these tiles are an add-on. They are not from the original. The original had a really good thick cardboard, which is also different from the original set.
Which had thinner cardboard.
Which had thinner cardboard. So there's definitely different qualities out there. So depending on your personal pleasure, you can receive any of it. Same thing with the geishas.
That did come with this base set, though.
Yeah,
the annexes didn't, but the geishas
were the add-on.
No,
the geishas were in the main.
The geishas were in the main box.
Okay, they were.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but again, the beginning was the very first release. It was very thin cardboard, but significantly upgraded. Same thing with the blessings. Originally, they were cardboard. Not the case anymore. Now the weapons, still these are a thick cardboard. Way better quality, again, than the original.
Are they bigger than the original, or is that the same size?
They are bigger.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, which I like better. It gives a better tactile feel. The player boards also are significantly upgraded. They are cut in this one versus before they weren't. So that was really nice. We also got the player mats to help with some of the layout, which again was really nice. Card-wise, really good. It does have a linen finish. Definitely tell. Good tactile feel for this edition.
I think you might need to sleeve them though, because if you play this a lot, although it's nice and linen finished, they're thin.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a really good stock.
Quite often.
Yeah, so I think that you probably will want to sleeve them. And I did see on the Kickstarter set that was an option to just get the sleeves with the game.
Yeah, and these are different card shapes, so that might be beneficial from actually getting it from the right vendor versus trying to piecemeal, because there are multiple different card sizes. So
in the base, I've never played the base the original game, so this was the first time for me. Were the mission cards bigger than the action cards?
Yes,
they were.
They were.
Were they? Okay.
Yeah. So this game, compared to the original, significant upgrade. I would say definitely, definitely worth it. At least to us who love great quality pieces.
Pure component wise, I would agree.
Yes.
We'll get into the other later.
Yeah. But as far as component pieces go, this is phenomenal, especially with the additional add-ons that you could purchase, like the metal coins, which we didn't really talk about. They went from a heavy cardboard to a metal coin as a possible upgrade. Metal coins, the tactile feel for the metal coins is just fantastic, spot on, and the fact that they're very good with the theme, which we'll discuss more about, I think is definitely worth it. I don't see how you can make this any game better. With all the additives that we got, I would give this a 10 on quality of pieces.
The only piece that was disappointing was, I guess, what is supposed to be the first player token. It was
terrible.
It's bad. It's a 2-piece pagoda that slides together, but it's very loose, and it
feels really bad.
Yeah.
So I graciously, Randy got this for me for my birthday, Christmas, one of the two. And when he kickstarted it, and when I got home to unpack my copy, the exact same thing happened to my pagoda. So I was not happy about that either. But to be honest, though, for this version was $71. It's well worth $71. You get a lot of awesome stuff. And the player board is beautiful as well. I mean, we don't have it in front of you. We got the mat.
Yeah, and it's two-sided. So if you don't like the busyness of this side, the other side is...
It's got like a transparent...
Basically, it's white with a faded background. So it just shows the action spaces more clearly.
And well worth $71. Easily.
So score it.
I think I'd give it a 9. Just because... There are some really cool pieces. Some of the pieces not as cool, so that's why I'm going to go a 9. I was really happy with everything, but I think it'd have been neat if they'd maybe done the weapon tokens either acrylic like they did with so many other things, or if the cards were a little bit thicker stock, I would have been a little bit happier with that. It's minor stuff. I mean, 9 is still a great score. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just comparing it to some of the other games, and really this game quality is fantastic. But you did mention the light quality of the cards. They should have been a little bit better. So I'll give it a 9.5 because of card quality and some of the upgrade things that you said, and the pagoda, I guess. But as far as getting that tactile feel of a really great upgraded game, this has it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably right there with you, the 9.5. I would have probably given it a 10, except for the pagoda, because the cards don't bother me, and the tokens don't bother me either, really, although you're drawing them out of a bag, so like they could wear, similar to what we saw with Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Right. And granted, I don't have anything to compare it to, so this is just my initial impression.
So I think 9.5 is a fair score. Otherwise, it'd be a perfect 10 in my eyes, because they really went out of their way to make everything nice.
It's very cool.
It's fantastic. So moving on to theme, guys, I feel like I'm in feudal Japan. I mean,
Randy did it, but that's okay.
I mean, listen, you got geishas, you've got, the kidnapping, the assassination. I can't talk. But my thing is so there's different level of missions. But in those, there's different kinds. There's theft. There's espionage. There's outright murder.
There's a
kidnapping.
ton of flavor on the cards, too.
Tons of flavor. And not only that, though, but your bonus cards, some will say you get victory points for this kind of thing, right? So you're specializing in assassinations, or you're specializing in theft, or you're that is so cool.
And the rewards and what you pay has to do with the mission too.
Yeah.
So they really made a nice flow of the mission cards from what the flavor text is through what you spend versus what you get.
The theme, spot on, guys. I'm gonna give this one a 10 for theme. I definitely feel feudal Japan in this, in every aspect of the game, and I don't see where you can make that any better or clearer.
I'm right there with you. I mean, the art is beautiful. Everything about this game is beautiful, and the fact that they did take so much care in the mission cards, I can't think of anything to dock it on.
I agree. I think it's a 10 as well. I mean, if I was to be critical on anything, I think although the art is gorgeous, it's samey for the cards. I mean, all the treasure cards look like treasure. All the the type of bonus cards has the same artwork. It's just gorgeous artwork, and it's still I can't knock it down any. It's just if I was to critique it, maybe some
if you
more
got to give
substantive artwork would have been nice, but if I have to give it a negative, that
well,
would be
I think some of the art is used to differentiate the different decks.
I agree. It is, but it's like if you do like all the assassination cards and they're all one type of artwork.
Yeah,
it might have been nice to see something different, but it's very minor and it's not enough for me to even knock it a half a point. It's gorgeous. It's a 10.
So let's move on to rules.
Yeah, this is where things fall out.
Yeah, we had a hard time with it.
So I've played Yedo many times, but it's been a while. So we wanted to teach Robert for his first time how you play regular Yedo.
Not with any expansions.
If you have not played Yedo before and you were just taking this as your first copy and trying to learn the game, it probably wouldn't be so bad.
Because so if I was learning it by myself, it'd probably be fine.
Because it's set up to give you a beginner game that's like 6 rounds long instead of the full 11 rounds. And it's got all kinds of different expansion modules that you can add together. Now, there are still some issues and quirks, which we'll get to in a minute on it. But the big quirk was if you want to recreate base Yedo the way it was in the original game, it's almost impossible with this rulebook. Because it is, the cards, the way you have to arrange them is just not conducive to it. There's rules that are hidden inside paragraphs that
we didn't know one rule until like the end of the game.
Yeah, there's cards that reference those rules, but then if you look in the book, you'll never find it. Because it's not clearly delineated.
Because we had to look it up online, and then they were like,
"Oh, if you go to this part on page 7."
But it's like, inside a paragraph. It's not like it's a bold or it's a header of a paragraph.
And it's a big deal. I mean, it'd be different if it was like
hand size.
If there was minor missions you could have.
And I knew there was a hand limit, but I couldn't remember what it was. But I didn't want to go down and try to find my old copy of Yedo and find the rule book, which is really what you have to do. So if you are a fan of the original Yedo,
at least
if you buy this as a second copy, keep your rule book from the original Yedo.
Or download it.
The other thing is there's not a real good way of identifying what cards mix. There's a statement in the book where it specifically says certain ones of the decks don't play well together. I didn't find anywhere in there where it differentiated which ones go well together.
And there is some iconography in the corner of the cards that will help you differentiate, but you don't know what they mean.
Well, that just differentiates which set they belong to. It doesn't tell you, and it's not those cards that's the problem. It's the cards that are in the event deck. And they don't tell you like which ones you can put together. And it tells you to only put 2 out of the whole thing together. We originally just shuffled the whole thing together before we read that. And apparently you're not supposed to do that, but there was nowhere in the book that it tell you, play with these sets together, other than the beginner game told you to use specifically these 2 sets.
Right. So once you play the beginner game, what do you do after that?
Exactly.
It doesn't really tell you.
Yeah, it was a very problematic rule book. I was very upset with it. I mean, it's beautiful looking.
Yeah.
But it's non-functional. If you were trying to play this and try to reset Yedo, now if you're just trying to learn and play this new version, and
only that version.
But even then, I think you're still going to have some confusion over which decks to mix because it's just not. It's stated that you can't mix them all, but it doesn't tell you which ones you can mix easily. They give you some scenarios in there to say you could play these sets together.
So we really thought that it should have been set up as either a separate book for a beginner's guide and then a regular rule book for all other times.
I mean,
or a supplemental manual. Say, all right, you've done the regular game, now do these.
Most games, when you find an upgraded version, it will let you basically retrofit and play the original with that new game. This one did not do that at all. So it was very problematic.
So what would you score it?
Honestly, I can't give it above a 4. I don't know if I can even give it a 4. It was that bad. I mean, there was things that were just absolutely hidden. There were things that I think were missing that it was referencing that were not in there.
I'd have to agree because we had a hard time with some of the concepts. Well, I did anyway because I never played it. And that was a big deal with the hand size being 4. We didn't know that. I had 6+ cards for a lot of the game, and I shouldn't have.
Given that they made it so clear on the other cards, the mission cards. I mean,
max 2, max 3.
Like right here,
why not put a max 4? There's no reason. Well, the thing is, this is your completed ones. The others are in your hand. So this is the
But
completed
you could
missions.
still have said
Wait, what's this one then?
That's
that's
one
for
of
one
the
of the
other
basic. Yeah, it's one of the expansions.
Oh, I had them on the wrong side.
It just said online or in the rulebook or something that you could use this side to hold your uncompleted missions, but still.
Yeah.
I had it the opposite, but okay.
They could have done a much better job with the rulebook.
I
They
mean,
really, really did.
that was a huge miss, and I mean, it really caused us a long playthrough because we had to find that, and we played this game many times, but we were trying to play the way it was originally, and we could not get there from here.
Well, and there was a cheat sheet, so let's talk about this cheat sheet. And I thought, okay, it's pretty good, but it's, like you said, missing some of those basic. Like, they could have put it on here, you know, max hand, or next to the mission section. Hey, only have so many, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't even do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it is cool. Yeah, one side's co-op side and one's the player aid.
Yeah, so pay attention to that. But
I mean, which is cool that they got the player aid for both. Just
I would say they almost wrote the rulebook around all the new stuff, and at the detriment of the original stuff, and made it just that much harder to try to recreate and play the original way. And I still don't know how the event decks are supposed to work. I'm gonna have to probably research that online to just try to figure out how we can mix and mingle the event decks. You know, it'd be nice if you could just shuffle them all together, but you know, obviously you can't.
So let's move on to gameplay. So we start out with workers, right? You start out with two. Then, so the first part of the round, though, is a bidding phase. So,
the first is a preparation phase that sets up the round. But basically, it's clean up from the previous round.
Yes, okay. And then the second is the bidding phase. So, depending on how many players, you either bid on a color section of the bidding process, or you can just do one individual thing if you have enough players, and you start the bidding. So, as the first player, you say, okay, I'm going to bid on black, or I'm going to bid on geisha. Okay, you do not have to bid at that point. Everyone else does. You were the last person to bid, so in the end...
And that bidding is affected by player count. So with 3 players, you have to bid on the color of the type of action.
I said that,
You specified you bid on black or geisha. But
and I said it's based on color.
Okay.
But she did base. But either way, But still... not having played more than 3, I thought that was interesting that you bid on the type or the area of the action, not on the action itself.
Yeah, I think that was an interesting component with the lower player count, but still getting. Yeah. But then you still have contention, right? So I thought that was actually really good. Where 5 players are playing enough contention as it was, you didn't need any more of that. So that was good. All right. So towards the end of the game, though, I will say black became useless. I didn't like that in that 3-player because basically only 2 people got something.
It wasn't completely useless. You got victory points.
Yeah,
but still, for the most part,
it's kind of useless. And I ended up getting stuck, not being able to do anything. I didn't get the money from passing, nor did I get the item because I only had 3 money and not 5, and so that part was very, very frustrating. It just towards the end, it was almost like, well, I'll just skip because I don't want to end up not getting anything because I'm last player. So that one was pretty rough. And then, so after that bidding phase, you get certain items based on where you bid. It could be mission cards. It can be geisha. It can be extra workers. It can be building annexes, which are limited. They go fast. Get those quickly.
That made me frustrated.
Yeah, no kidding. There's not enough. There's only 2. For a 3-player game.
Yeah, 1 less than the number of players.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's rude.
So you really have to go and get those. And then... almost more than your workers, which is super lame because normally it's always go get your workers first. And then there's also, you can get weapons, end of game bonus cards, and then actual affect the game mechanic cards, action cards. So after that bidding process happens, you're going into the event phase, which standard event, you draw the card, you read the card, you do the thing. So that's not a big deal. And then the assigning phase. This is where you place your workers. You go in the player order, which is not based on counterclockwise or anything like that. It's based on the chart that you have.
You got like 7 districts on your map.
Yes.
You can go.
And depending on the number of players also affects how much of a location is available, just like any standard worker placement. So that's not crazy unusual. And then so after you start assigning things, then the watch patrol happens. So this is the interesting mechanic.
Yeah, he's a jerk.
Yeah, so in the center...
well, Randy's a jerk, and the watch patrol's a jerk.
Yeah, so in the center, the watch patrol, it's either a gold or silver watchman, and depending on the color, he goes into a certain direction. So there are cards that change his color. So one time you may think he's going counterclockwise, but then someone may switch it up and say, no, he's going counterclockwise, and you get screwed.
Or then block you from playing that card.
or there's some cards that say go double, go twice, right? Or stay where you're at, stay at the location that he gets distracted or whatever. So that's interesting. But if the patrol is on the location that you're trying to do something at, all those workers essentially go to prison. Basically, you lose those workers and have to repurchase them, which is kind of rough.
It's brutal.
It is really brutal. Now, there are cards that allow you not to get arrested or allow to move your worker before they get arrested. So there are some cards that mitigate some of that. But, man, those cards are hard to get anyway. And just, it's just
But you did get a free get-out-of-jail-free card to
yeah,
start the
you
game.
do it
but
one
only
time
one,
for free.
right? So, and that went fast. So that doesn't... But again, I think that's an interesting component to this game that a lot of other things don't have that I actually really appreciate. And then the last, so there's two more. There's the trade phase, which if you're at, there's two different locations. You can trade with the other people at that location. You can trade weapons. You can trade mission cards. You can trade, what was the other thing?
You can trade pretty much anything.
Except for annexes.
Buildings. Yeah, you can't trade
Miranda
annexes.
really tried to change the rules
You
on
cannot
that.
trade annexes. You cannot trade completed missions.
Yeah, well, obviously not.
And you cannot trade your workers. But apart from that, you can trade anything.
Yeah, which is actually super helpful because you can only hold 4 weapons, right? Like, it's a lot easier to be like, hey, you need that one weapon, I need this other weapon, let's trade. I actually like the fact that trading ability is there.
And the reason why is because she mentioned the missions cards. You got 4 different ones. You start off with green. They all have requirements, and many times it's weapon specific, and you might have to turn in location specific, and you might have to turn in or have a geisha or a blessing,
right? Or money or an annex. There's
and so they go in difficulty from green being easy all the way up to black being nigh impossible.
Yeah. So the different resources in this game, to go over quickly, is weapons. There's different kinds of weapons. Geishas. The blessing token, you can only have one at a time. It's a resource, sort of. Then money as well as workers. And the annexes, all the different cards. There's a bunch of different moving mechanisms to this game, which keeps me interested in going. So the last one is, the last phase of the round is the action phase. So in turn order, you're going to take one worker off and trigger an action. Either an action of the location or to finish a mission that has that requirement. So for example, this one requires someone to be at the Red Lantern District, okay? So if I were to pull a worker off, he could complete this mission. But there's multiple locations, so like this one is at the market. So if I could take it off the market or the Red Lantern District, it doesn't matter. It's just whatever, which one's on the card, you complete the mission. But they have to be at those locations to trigger. You have to have workers there. So as soon as all the workers are taken off and the actions are completed, then the round restarts and you go back into the prep phase and then into the bidding phase. One
of the interesting parts of the actions, which it didn't apply a whole lot, but it did hit me one time and I didn't like it, was that when you place in an action district and someone else does, but they go first and they may do something that takes away the benefit of going there, you still have to do that action. Mm-hmm. So there might be a different action that you have to do if you're able to do it, but you don't want to do it.
Right.
But you have to do it anyway because you're able to do it. That screwed me out of some money once because I didn't want to do that action. One of you two did what I wanted to do. And then, like, for example, you go to the area that has the church. It starts with 3 money on it. And so I wanted the money, but Miranda kept taking the money, so I didn't have it. So then I would have to spend money to buy victory points, which is nice. I just didn't want to spend the money. I wanted to save my money to be able to bid for the stuff at the top. And it was like,
Yeah, no, there were,
it was cool, but
yeah, no, there were tons of times where it's like, crap, I can't do the thing I wanted to do because I end up having to spend money elsewhere or whatever,
right.
or they took my action, and it was very frustrating, but in like a good frustration.
Yeah,
because
one of the most commonly occurring ones is the turn order one. Because if somebody triggers the turn order, it happens immediately, and it affects turn order for the rest of that round. But you might have gone there thinking you were going to complete a mission, and you weren't going to use it for turn order, but if somebody lifts it, it removes all of the workers from the turn order, and therefore triggers the turn order sequencing for everybody.
Which is so nice. So, I will say, there is a lot of take that. Yes. We are definitely clans going after each other and trying to be the best.
This game can be brutal.
It can and is. And now, luckily, knowing that going in, you can be a little lighthearted about it and being like, you know. Yeah. But the reality is, if you have a sensitive person, it may not be the best game to play. So, like, me in a special mood, I don't want to play this. But me ready to go after it, I love this game.
So, I did get grumpy during the game, but I got grumpy not because of the game being bad. Or me being in a bad mood. It was because there was stuff I wanted to do, and they kept jacking with me, and it just it got frustrating.
But it happened to all of us. Like, there's no like it picked on one person. It was spread out evenly. I think
this is another one of those games that you talk about afterwards. I'm still never going to hear the end of the game that I played with my coworker Jason.
Oh yeah,
where he had a sword I needed, and I offered to trade with him, and I had a mission that I needed the sword to do to assassinate one of the other players' pieces. And I was like, please don't come to this location, Jason. Please don't come. But he went to the location, so I had to play my mission. I killed his player with his own sword. And he was never going to let me down on that. He traded me the sword that I needed to kill him.
Yeah, I mean, so I think there is
go into knowing, like Maria said, go into this game knowing that, and it's okay to get grumpy. You know, it's okay to be frustrated as long as everybody at the table knows that, and
we're having fun.
Take it for what it is and have a good time with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So overall, guys, what would you give it as a score?
Now, this is just my initial playthrough, so I need to play this game more to really, I think, fall in love with it. I'm at a 9.
You're at a 9?
Wow, I was thinking you were not going to say that.
No.
After playing through it with you that other night, and the fact that you were just saying this was your initial playthrough, it can only go up from a 9.
I was grumpy, and I was grumpy, but it was still fun, and I still enjoyed it.
I still feel like it was a good kind of grumpy because sometimes games are too easy. It's not very fun. It's boring. Right, but this had enough frustration without being completely like disheartening.
Well, just keep in mind we were playing the nicest version of the game.
Yeah, there was like no negative side effects. We didn't really talk about the event deck, but after you're done with bidding, you got to reveal an event card, and they were all nice.
Yeah,
got money,
we played with
extra work.
We played with the ones in the starter game.
I will say,
they get way worse.
No, it was so funny because when we were reading, I'm like, man, these are way too nice for Yedo. Because I was like, man, this is like nice stuff. Normally, you get like you lose a geisha.
I think I got one event that
location.
negatively impacted me during the game because it was like because I was first player. Reverse turn order. I think it was.
Yeah.
And
but that's still not horrible.
No, it's impactful though. But it wasn't. It was not. There's a lot worse cards in the deck.
So what was your score for it then? He's giving it a 9. What are you giving it?
I don't feel like I got a little room to go up from there because it's like his first play was a 9, which is kind of surprising considering how much he grumbled. Because I was probably going to go a 9 on this. I think I'm still a 9 as far as Yedo.
Yeah.
I don't think that our experience with this first playthrough of this new set was a 9. I feel like there was so much pain and hardship of trying to set it up and get it to be like Yedo, the original, that I can't give it a 9 for that playthrough.
Right, but I can't compare to that. So,
but once we got actual playing of it, I do think the gameplay of Yedo is a 9 overall. I think it is. I would almost give it a perfect. I mean, it's basically a more advanced version of and more cutthroat version of Lords of Waterdeep. I mean, there's not the actions of it, the missions. It's very Lords of Waterdeep-esque.
And another thing in my defense, even though I was grumpy, is that now I know what the game's like. So now I can approach it with a different attitude and make sure that I don't get as grumpy as I got.
Yeah. The reason I wouldn't give it a 10 is from what I understand from people who've played a lot of it, is there are strategies that can break it, and I don't like games like that.
Right.
But we've never played it in such a way, so but we do have friends who do play those kind of games in that kind of way, so I could see it happening.
Right. So what would you score?
Well, so here's my thing: if I am in the mood for a little bit of a take that, this is the kind of take that I like. I like the worser placement. I like. You say Waterdeep, but I don't feel like that does this justice because there's so many moving parts and it's so beautiful and seamless. If I'm in the mood, I'm right there with you guys at a 9.5. As long as I'm up for this kind of game, this is the game that I would
keep in mind
to.
We gave Waterdeep a 10.
So
we're comparing it to a good standard here.
Well, here's the thing. You're right, but I think this is a much Waterdeep is for beginners.
Yes, this is an advanced game. This is not a beginner's game.
No.
This is medium. I'd say medium, probably solid medium.
Yeah, I mean, and there are aspects of Waterdeep. I see where you're going with that, but at the same time, there's so many other components to this.
Yeah,
and it's a beautiful. And I hope I never learn the breaking stuff. That would destroy this game for me, and I would be really bummed. Mm-hmm. So don't tell me. I don't want to know.
Is that it?
That's it. Say goodbye, guys.
Bye.
All right, talk to you next time. Bye.
Adios.